Are you ready, Neil?
I'm ready.
The Ellis County Public Building Commission meeting will now come to order. And Bobby, please note that Commissioner Younger and I are here. Commissioner LaRue is not here, but we do have a quorum. And no changes to the agenda, I do not believe. Approval of prior minutes. Did you review prior minutes?
Yes.
Okay, prior minutes stand as submitted. And consideration of accounts payable. Darren?
All accounts have been paid for this year, earlier in the year for our bond payment, and the next ones are due, I believe, in March of 2023, and that should pay off the PBC bond payments for the admin building here as well as 601 Main Street.
No, it's good. Commissioner Younger, any comments, concerns?
Nope.
Project manager report?
Just a quick update on this building, since it's this building's part of the PBC. The parking lot has been tore up outside, as you can tell, for some time. They've been running conduit and condensation lines, and Midwest Energy's been out working on the gas line to get all that repaired for all the subgrade work that needed to be done. The chiller and the final water pump and the rest of the equipment for the roof, the other 2 units that were added, should all be arriving to Glassman Corporation within the next 2 weeks. So the final piece to getting ready to pour concrete to set that equipment is the generator bids for this building as well. Those bids are due to my office this week and should be on next week's Ellis County Commission meeting for approval. And once we know that, the size of the generator will be determined to run the final conduit underneath the ground, and we'll be able to start closing up the area and installing equipment within the next month.
Okay, sounds like good progress is being made. Commissioner Younger?
Only thing I am concerned about is the sidewalk there with all the conduits in it. When we put our gas line in, we put sand and we put flowable fill so there's no settling. I had talked to Colton, the foreman on the job. He was going to talk to Joe about that, so I am kind of concerned about that, because with that big of a void, so let's put sand and flow and then our concrete. So that's my only
Okay.
opinion on that.
I'll
So,
visit with Glassman to
Okay.
see what we can do.
all right, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Darren?
No, sir.
And the Ellis County, Kansas Public Building Commission meeting will adjourn.
Mr. Chair, do you have any time for public comments?
On what issue, sir?
Just to see where we are on the blacktop south of
Yeah, we haven't got to that
Yeah,
agenda
we haven't
yet.
got to that yet.
Yeah,
That was just
we're not
a-
on that yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have an approximate time when you're,
In just a few minutes, okay?
okay.
The Ellis County Commission meeting will now come to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Bobby, once again, please note that Commissioner Younger and I are present. Commissioner LaRue is not here, and we do have a quorum. Order of business, there's no changes to the order of business. We will have one executive session at the end of the meeting. Prior minutes, Commissioner Younger,
Everything looks good.
get a chance to review those. Okay, they stand as submitted. Consent agenda, I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. Monthly financial report. Commissioner, did you have a chance to review that?
Everything looks good again, so.
Okay. And are there issues from persons not on the order of agenda tonight? Okay, then our next agenda item is the South Ellis Avenue. Brandon. Is Brandon here?
Morning, Commissioners. Brendan McKay, Ellis County Public Works Director. So before you is an update for the Ellis County, for the Ellis Avenue repairs. He asked me to come back with a few different options for us and to justify the pricing on it. So the first option would be hot mix. That's a brand new roadway. We do not have the equipment to do that. That's why the price is what it is. It's $5.6 million is the current estimate. You have 4-inch lift of hot mix with base stabilization using contractor pricing and contractors on it. That's a brand new roadway. Our next option is to patch repairs. A few meetings ago, we were told there was 4 bad spots. My crew went out there, myself. We marked 14 spots that are severe that would need treatment immediately. Just the material on that alone, because it's my forces, my equipment, we're not counting that, just material cost, it's $132,514. Oil for that repair, we've got 1 more week to order it from here in Kansas, otherwise we'll have to order it from Oklahoma or Texas. The other issue with that is we don't have any of that hot mix made up at the moment, or the hot mix cold lay material that we use for our overlifts. APAC can still make it. We have the chips on the ground. We don't have the sand or the screenings. Those chips on the ground are for next year's batch of hot mix makeup. APAC's already informed us that we are not on the list for reserve for chips. So in all likelihood, we won't be getting any new 1/2-inch chips for our cold mix design or for our sealing purposes next year from them. There's other options out there. The material's a lot softer, a lot dustier. I wouldn't recommend using it in our cold mix or on our high-speed roadways. They just won't last. So we're looking into other possibilities, getting stuff railed in, getting stuff out of the clutch yard or venture down in Great Bend or Garden, but just don't know yet. No one has a firm grasp if they'll allow any to be sold.
And a question for you, Brandon.
Yes, sir.
If we do a patchwork repair, is this essentially just kicking the can down the road a bit?
Yes.
For how long?
There's no base. I couldn't give you a firm estimate. When you do a patch like this, you want 3 to 5 years of life. I'm not willing to say we'll get 3 years out of it.
Okay.
It's like building a house without a foundation. You can keep patching the plaster, the drywall, but until you build that foundation up, you're just spending good money after bad. Another option we can do is a prime and seal. So this is what Feedlot Road currently is, going west to 230th. There, they milled up the old asphalt, milled rock into it, and then you lay a tack seal called a prime to help keep water off the base. And then they used a sand seal and a chip seal on top of it, a double one. So you have maybe an 1/8 inch of asphalt over the road base. It's not a paved road by paved roads. It looks like one though.
Is it a hard surface road?
It's black. It's
Okay.
going to look like a paved road and a hard surface road, but it won't behave exactly like an asphalt road will, because your asphalt layer is so thin.
Will it hold up well?
It'll hold up for a few years,
Okay.
but you'll
What's
you
the
still-
traffic count on that one, roughly?
Oh, on
And
that
after
one?
everything gets, 230th gets all done?
I don't have an accurate one at the
Okay.
moment until that
Okay.
corridor's done. So prime and seal is basically you redo the base and then you put down a thin oil coat, skim coat, to keep water from getting into the base and moisture, and then just a double seal on top of it to give it a little bit of strength. And that one's just under $467,921, and that's with current pricing for this year. We can't get those materials at this point in time unless we haul out of Oklahoma or Texas, which is going to further inflate this price. And you don't want to be doing that when it's 55 degrees and lower. You want it 55 sunny and rising temperatures for it to cure right.
As a supplier of the chip seal, can Hess help us out on that or not, that you know of?
So we bought some material from him
Okay.
that he railed in. It wouldn't fit in our mix design, but it would be useful for surfacing.
Okay.
The issue we found with it, it's not compatible with the oil we get out of our local plants.
Okay.
So there's a slight positive charge and a slight negative charge to all rock. Same thing with the oil. You have anionic and cationic. When you put different charges together, they don't work. And that's why we were experiencing breakouts. So we had to go back and do a little over $5,000 a mile fog seal, which is just a real, you're laying out 12 hundredths a gallon per square yard. It paints the road black. It's like running with a spray paint can, but it helps lock those chips in from breaking out further. And that's worked. It's just an added cost. The cost to get different oil was a little bit more expensive than that extra $5,000 a mile to do a seal over the top. And we have some of that on the ground that we'll most likely have to use next year. It's that reddish purple rock that we had laid out on, not this past year, but the year before, down on 240th, up on Toulon.
Yes, I seen that.
And then if we do a cold mix road, which is how that road was most likely built, where you mill the base up, you seal the base, do a prime seal to keep moisture off, that's $2.4 million roughly for all 5 miles. And that's going to put a 5-inch mat of cold mix all the way through it, done in multiple lifts. You won't get the compaction if you do all 5 inches at once, but that would take up all of our cold mix and then some for next year, if that's what the commission decides to do.
Okay, then your current recommendation then was to mix the, mill the asphalt, mix it in with gravel or rock, whatever.
Yep.
Can you explain that process further?
Yep, so first we would do is we would mill up the existing asphalt surface, break up the crust that's on top, incorporate it into the base. Then we would bring rock on, haul rock on in lifts, and mill that into the millings to act as a binder. One of the ways they call it unpaving a roadway, is either use a bentonite clay, a soft rock like our limestone, or just gravel. We have the luxury of having that soft limestone that gets gummy when it's wet. With the millings mixed in with it, it's not going to we don't expect it to get gummy because we're not putting 8 inches of rock on top of everything. We're putting just enough in to mill it up, to have it bind those millings back together and to seal the base off so we don't get more moisture penetration from above, from water, snow, freeze thaw, and then from below with the springs.
And is that a pretty hardy road?
We've done it on other ones. I mean, that's what's under Feedlot Road right now, that prime and seal. We've mixed it in on our sand roads where we've had issues with heavy rutting, heavy washboarding effect, and my maintainers have a hard time keeping sand on top of those roads now because the base has gotten so hard.
What ratio is that? Just approximately, like the sand or the asphalt grindings plus the rock?
So there's probably 12 to 14 inches of asphalt millings out there,
Okay,
and we'll most likely use 2 to 4 inches of
okay.
rock. So 4 parts asphalt millings, 1 part rock.
Okay, and it's not a hard surface road.
No, hard surface roads are your hot mix roads. Some can consider cold surface roads, cold mix roads, hard surface. They do have some flex in them, and then your concrete paved roads.
But it's not a real loose gravel road either.
No. I mean, you'll have some material at the very top to work across, working through the crown to fix where washouts, or if there appears to be washboards happening, or chuck holes from vehicle impacts. But it's not going to be like a sand road where it just washboards the.
Okay, now that's what you recommended for this repair,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And based on the options you have given us, eliminating the hot mix, that's just way too affordable or way too unaffordable. What would be your next recommendation?
My next recommendation would be the prime and seal.
Prime and seal?
If we're going to go back with a asphalt appearing road, the patching I wouldn't go with because it's not going to solve the issue of what's underlying. The base needs to be repaired. And even with that patching, where we would do those patches, we would mill rock into it. But I'm sure, Neil, you've been down there with me, but you didn't. Where do we start? Where do we stop? Last time we spoke about this, we were told there's 4 bad spots. My staff and myself, we marked 14. So those spots in between the patches that we marked, some of them, they're fine now. I don't know if they'll last this winter.
And from what I'm seeing here, the prime and seal would cost about twice as much as what you anticipated for the milled road. Is that correct? Okay.
And it's not going to be an asphalt road when it's done. I mean, it's just going to have a thin skim coat of asphalt material on top of it. But it'll have the appearance of an asphalt roadway.
But easy to maintain or not?
It'll last 3 to 5 years, and then we'll have to put cold mix material on it to smooth out rides and seal it. There's not, like, we can just stop doing anything on it for 20 years. Even if we go to a milling the rock in, it's going to have regular bladed maintenance. It's not something that's going to be done and then we just walk away from it. It'll have routine maintenance done on it.
Okay. Commissioner Neal, do you have any questions?
I guess just the question, if we do patch, I mean, I'm calling it a swimming pool when I drove on it, and that one does need some attention here.
The one
Quick.
with the steep break off or
One
the
with
big
yes,
depressions?
that one is bad.
That one's the most glaring, but
That one
those
is.
other ones are,
They're gonna get there.
they're just not, they don't have that steep break edge that you
Yes.
can clearly visible.
Okay. Does anyone from the audience want to come up and speak? We'd like you to state your name and county.
I am Kaylin Petz, and what do you need?
Your county?
I do live in Rush County.
Okay.
On this road, we are not asking for a brand-new road of all the 5 miles. That's just absurd of how much it would cost. But maintaining it would be nice. Just like he said, if we would do something, you're gonna have to be out there 3 to 5 years to redo something, okay? This road that we have now, it would have been a nice road. But there was no maintenance to it in the last 15 years. I do believe those pavement roads need to be resurfaced around every 3 years, if that's right? Okay. I want to know, in the road rotation of maintaining your guys' roads, where was that road at on your maintain list?
I can't answer that question.
It just wasn't. It wasn't. So I understand that the road is in really bad condition, and I understand that you have to put a base. You're gonna have to put a base anyways with a rock versus pavement. But why not maintain this road and give it the attention? Even 6 years would have been better than nothing. We haven't even had any potholes filled. The first south mile is really nice. If you would overlay that right now, you could save it. Cut down your expense, okay? Another thing is, can we please have another survey done on that road from 2018 to now? Numbers could have changed, you don't know. But I would think that maybe a more accurate knowledge of that would help too, because I know there's a lot more people that are traveling that road to get to work now that they weren't doing that back in 2018. And then also some history on the road, I did look into it. Before that was pavement, that road actually went in and around those hills, wound in and around to get where you need to go. Some paths you would come and you would have to actually split off and do the side road so you could get through it, okay? It was a very dangerous road back then, that they did all that effort to go through those hills a straight path and put it to pavement. I understand you can look at all these other roads around here and say, well, we did this to this road, we did this to that road. But this road is very unique and you really need to look at it. Sometimes the only way I can get down that road is watching that white line. Now, is that white line gonna be on that rock road? No. So when you're out there and it's dark or snow's blowing or a car's coming at you with their brights on and you don't have one car, you have 2 cars coming at you, it is literally like, where am I at? Am I gonna drive off this road? It's scary, very scary. And I am coming to you with this concern because there's so many more people that drive that road than you think, and there's gonna be some deaths. I don't want that.
Okay. Well, we
So-
thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
And I do understand your concern when you talk about maintenance. The roads do have to be maintained. They need to be maintained properly. And I believe Brandon's going to make sure those things start occurring like they need to be. Does anyone else want to speak?
Just one thing I want to touch on. So the last time those 5 miles were fully sealed, all 5 together, was in 2016.
Okay,
So they did this entire seal coat over the stretch of 5 miles. And also asphalt patching has occurred every year except for the fall of last year and this year when we were directed to start operations to turn it from a paved road to an unpaved roadway. So it hasn't been 15 years of neglect. There's been treatments continually until a year and a half ago.
I did see that when I drove out there a couple of weeks ago, that you could see the black and the white difference, so we had been out there trying, and
okay. Someone else want to speak? Please just state your name and your county.
Dean Gutchalk, I live in Ellis County.
Okay,
First of all, I want to thank you commissioners for listening to the concerns of the public on this road matter. Second of all, I visited with Commissioner Neil Younger. He did go out and drive the road, sees the concerns of the people. I think turning that to a asphalt rock road with the degree of slopes on them hills, it'll get washed off and we'll have bigger ruts than what we've got now. So I think the public would really work with you guys with the patching and be happy with that. And I think with patching, you know, he stated it would last 3 to 5 years. It's lasted 6 years without sealing and has held up very well. I think with digging it up and putting a base under it like we'd previously talked about would extend the life of this road tremendously and save the taxpayers a lot of money. And then work it into your budget over the years to keep it maintained. And I think we'll have a nice road.
okay.
okay, thank you, Dean.
Dean, thank you. Do we hear comments from anyone else?
My name is Randy Augustine. I live in Ellis County.
Okay,
I think the issue we have here is always funding these projects. But why do we always find the funding to asphalt and maintain the highway coming from Ellis to Antonino or all these other highways, but when it comes from the River Road south, it's always about we do not have the money available? That's my question.
well, I guess to answer that, it's not a matter of having money available. When these projects, I guess, come to the attention of the Board of Commissioners, they're budgeted for, and then the taxpayer is paying for that road in the next upcoming year.
So why don't we budget money for down the road and have it repaired?
Brendan did bring this to the Board of County Commissioners, suggested to us that the asphalt mill was the best project for this job. This was budgeted, and this is the money we have set aside for this at this point in time. So that's kind of how the process works. We're looking at a lot of different projects in Ellis County, and it's not that we find a project and then go try to find money in our budget for the project. These are all planned and budgeted for ahead of time.
I am in favor of progress. You guys, anytime you can improve a road, we are 100% for it. I live on rock roads all around me, and I see you do not have the manpower, or it's not deviated right to when you get moisture to get out there and take care of them roads. It's 2-3 days later, because I know you have a lot of rock roads to take care of, and I see that happening to this. We will get that rocked, and it will not be maintained, and we're the ones that are going to have to travel that up and down the road, not you guys.
Well, I'm sure whatever we come up with here, we're going to try to address with maintenance. That's up to Brendan to make sure that happens.
And will that happen?
It should, or Brendan's got to be accountable for it,
It's not happened since I've been living out there.
so.
And
We
we
thank
are
you.
working on that. When I became commissioner, I asked to get more manpower hours in overtime. So when these rains come through, and Brandon and his team have been doing a somewhat of a good job right now, but we have no help either. But we put more overtime pay in to keep these roads up now. That's the only way we're going to catch up with them, if Mother Nature will help us with water. So yes, we are trying with the amount of employees that we have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Lance Brenner. I farm, or have, my farm and ranch is in southwest Trigo County, but I have land in southwestern Ellis County, which is right along this highway. My concern is, we still have to dig down and build this base, correct? We're gonna have to do the same amount of work to do your first grind up, and we gotta address that issue. And just for the record too, I did state 4 to 5 bad problems. I did not say there was no more. I said, can we patch the bad ones? And build that base up? Them are the unsafe, critical ones. You've seen it. You've seen the one, I mean, load of bales, you're gonna lose it. I mean, it's gotta be addressed. So my issue is, let's patch them bad problems. I'm not saying there's not 10 more, or we don't need to get into that. There is 2 miles of that road that is critically bad. I feel the 2 miles down next to my property, like Kaylen said, can be saved. With proper maintenance, there's a good base there yet. The first half a mile coming from the river is an excellent base yet. You guys have done a little work on that. Then your money runs out. We always get the fringe benefits from everybody else's projects, which is just a little amount. That's our patchwork. And, you know, there's potholes on them last 2 miles. They got to be sealed, I would say immediately, but if you don't have the product, you're acting like, but the patchwork that you guys have done has not been suffice. So I just want to state that. The other comment I want to make, once you commit on that road, that's why it was paved. There is no off-roads. You're all or nothing. There is no way, if there's a jackknife semi on there because of ice, there's no way to get around it. It's all or nothing. So I just want to state that. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, Brandon, come back up. It appears, Commissioner, the folks here would like the road patched. The best we can patch it, the best you can do it, and given the most critical spots maybe first. And they're saying that the first portion of this road we're looking at just needs some maintenance to be saved, is that correct?
From the south end, we still weren't able to pull a core to get a good sample of the base material. It hasn't failed in the way the north section of this roadway has failed. But it also failed similar way just across the county line. It's holding up now. I don't know how long that will last for.
Okay,
And our patches that the county's done over the years before my time here, some of those are actually in these spots that we've marked for patching. So patches that have had patchwork, have been sealed, have already failed, that were done within the last 3 to 5 years. The base has to get fixed. Instead of just piecemealing it, I'd recommend doing the entire stretch at one go. That way we have a tight interlocked base. Because when you start patching and milling down, coming back across, you're gonna hit your hard edges. It's not gonna be as easy to get a nice consolidated mix underneath there that's compacted with moisture. I wouldn't recommend just patching. I can't come before you and recommend that.
okay,
If we were going to do anything to keep it an asphalt road, I would recommend the total mill and prime and seal. It's more expensive than just patching, but I don't want to throw money away. I mean, I want to be a good steward of the money I'm given to run my department. And that would be the best use of money if this road's going to be continued to be a paved road.
if you would do the prime and seal, When would you start on that?
We could start potentially this, we're getting late in the year now. It'd have to be into next year when we would do it.
And would it require a detour?
Yes, because we'll still have to mill the base up, and I don't feel comfortable having traffic when we've got one or both lanes blocked with our equipment.
But you would fix the base, prime and seal.
Yep, and unfortunately, it's going to result in a large detour, but just like when the Saline River Bridge failed, that was a 7-mile detour for 7 miles south or north for the businesses, the school bus, the individuals that lived along that stretch or farmed along that stretch. It's unfortunate that there has to be detours, but fortunately, I have to work on the roadway, and to keep my employees safe and the traveling public safe, sometimes the best option and the safest option for everyone involved would just be to close a section of roadway to through traffic.
Okay? Commissioner Younger,
If we gotta wait on material till next year, I know the patching is a Band-Aid, but that one is severe.
We can mill rock into those patches this year,
And,
but we're not going to have an asphalt covering over those patches.
right. Right, and is everybody satisfied with that?
yes, sir. Come on up to the front.
You can come up.
Commissioners, my name is James Enrine.
And you're from Ellis County?
Huh?
You're from Ellis County?
I live in Ellis County. I farm in the southeastern part of Trigo County.
Okay.
And I travel up and down this road every day. And so I know exactly what the road looks like, 'cause I'm down it every day. There is one really bad spot that needs taken care of, a washout. And yeah, I know the others are gonna get bad, but the one is bad. And I would suggest you fix that spot, do the base, do everything you have to do. I mean, if you're gonna do anything, do it right. However big an area you wanna go, fix that right. That needs done now. And then next year when you come back to, that part is done, don't have to waste any more money. And that's what I would suggest doing, you know. I really think you can save the south part, and so I would say just get a 4 or 5 year plan, start doing section by section and doing it right. And I think in the long run, an asphalt would be the best if it's maintained and do it right. So
Okay.
that's all I got to say. So thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
comments. Commissioner, if we just patch, which Brendan doesn't recommend, but if we patch, it kicks the can down the road to the next Board of Commissioners, is what it does.
No, I'll be involved in that
You'll be involved in that.
with 2 new commissioners, so, and I have no problem with that, but as we all know, most everybody out there's all farm-oriented. It is gonna break out on us, but there's a good chance that we'll probably put rough road signs ahead. That road is traveled very fast. When I drove it, I was passed a couple of times. I was going 58 mile an hour, and they flew around me like I was sitting still. I thought, okay? So anyhow, I would be in favor of, or supporting to Band-Aid it together. And then, like I say, when the new commission comes, we will address it at that time.
Okay. I would rather see a prime and seal put down. However, I'll defer back to Commissioner Younger. He's going to be on the Board of Commissioners next year. I won't be. And he will have to address this issue along with 2 new commissioners. So if the consensus in the audience is they want to see this patchworked, patching done, I'd be in favor of that too. So I guess we'll direct Brandon to proceed with patchwork as he can do that. Yep.
By patchwork, do we mean milling the rock in and putting down a cold mix mat? Or do we just mean milling the rock in and then?
My
prime and
thought
seal?
is you're gonna have to, that,
'Cause it-
as I call swimming pool, you're gonna have to dig down and
Well, yes.
base to it.
But I've got 16 tons of cold mix. That's not gonna fill in
Not
that
gonna fill it.
area.
Okay. Can we get some bigger material to put in there somewhere? Not the milled rock that we have. I want something with some value to it.
So the milled rock's gonna incorporate into the base. You don't need big stones. You need a solid base that's impervious to moisture. So a well-blended, well-graded material. Big stones can help, but they can also hurt because now you've got larger voids you have to try and fill, and there's no way to get those 100% filled like you can with a well-graded aggregate. The stuff that we mill up would be perfect to mill into the base. We've done it on roads before. It's like an AB3 material that you use for bases and foundations on roadways. But I want to know, do you want me to try and find somewhere to get cold mix for this fall? APAC can make it. I have to find the material though. And it's going to be at a premium at this point in time.
Right.
And it's going to restrict what we can do for pavement next year because it's going to eat into what we have on the ground.
Right.
It-
What kind of funding did we put in there again for that?
50,000
Okay.
per mile.
We've also, and I've talked with Darren about this, that, you know, the last 2 years, we've put some money aside for road and bridge. If we maybe can dip into some of that to help out, to at least get that spot safe.
I don't know if we can get the material this year.
Okay.
That's my hang up.
So if
We can mill the rock into it and level it off with the roadway,
Okay,
and we'll see what that, and everyone can see what that material looks like and how it behaves if we mill rock into these 14 spots
okay,
and have them be like that. We're getting late in the year. We're about to start up another road project. We have a few more miles of MRIM that we were trying to rock and overlay. We can shift things around. We've already made the rock up for that 5-mile stretch. We talked to the landowners out there, got a pit permitted with the landowner, got it permitted through the state, milled up the rock for those miles, built a spray attachment for our machine. Instead of spending $30,000 for a Caterpillar attachment, we built our own. That the reclaimer specialist from Caterpillar is excited to see us how it works because it's the same way they would have it, just not painted yellow and say cat on the side of it. We've already made up all the material for the repair that was decided 1.5 years ago. So we've got costs tied up in that. If we're going to patch, I would recommend that we just mill and rock in those 14 spots and see how that behaves.
okay. I guess what do you guys all think about this, milling that in for right now to get us a safe road, because it's not safe.
You know, Commissioners, we talked about
Please
tile.
come
on
up,
up.
Dean.
You and I kind of discussed about putting a tile in there if it's moisture causing the issue of these soft spots. I've been informed, I'm not for 100% sure, but I think the county did it on 170th Avenue in Antonino on that
Okay.
blacktop because they had a soft spot, and from what I've been told, it's been working great. So that might be an option on the two, there's really, I think, 2 or 3, maybe 4 that are really bad that could possibly use that tile. And as far as that ground up rock, you advertise that at a good price.
It'll be gone.
It's gone. The oil field will use that up in a heartbeat. So that you can recover your expense there. Thank you.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Mr. Minber.
I just have one more thing to add. Just, you know, you keep bringing up, taking it to rock and grinding up the pavement and stuff. What is your plan if that rock would fail? Because I feel like once you grind it up, there's no going back and it would never go back to pavement. So I just want to know, what's your backup plan if it fails?
So the problem is the road's already failed. We have to go down to the base and rebuild from there. Milling that rock in and getting down to that base would build the base for a new roadway that could be overlaid or sealed, prime and sealed. If we just keep throwing stuff on top, there's nothing underneath to support it. like building a house without a foundation. It's gonna settle, it's gonna crack. You can keep patching the drywall, keep patching the plaster, but until you fix the underlying issue, you've just spent money for no reason, and you're spending money frivolously. You need to get down, you need to fix first. I mean, when they build houses over, like they're doing on 22nd Street now, they're not putting the house up and then going back and digging a basement. They're building the basement, building the foundation, putting the house on it. We need to build the foundation for this roadway. The foundation's gone. A lot of these roads, and part of the studies that we went through and looked through this, a lot of the roads that have less than 250 vehicles per day, and that were built 50s, 60s, 70s, early 80s, their base was never built on the roadway. What they did was they came in and they just prime and sealed the roadway with the existing conditions underneath it as is. And that's why a lot of these roads have these issues, because there was no base ever built. Milling the rock in would address the base issue, so we would have a good solid foundation to build off of, whether we go back with asphalt or we use the millings and rock mixture on the top. We're not the only county that's ever done this. The one study from 2015, they got responses from 27 states. They didn't send out responses to every state for places that have used these. Part of that was saying that if it was less than 250 vehicles per day, if it was paved, it probably shouldn't have been paved just because the travel didn't justify the expenses. I'm not saying that's the case with this road, I'm just saying that's what the study showed.
I do know the one over in Russell County, and me and Dean had talked about this. It was similar to the one south of Ellis, but it was a little more severe. I watched him half a mile, quarter mile at a time take him out. They done the milling thing. I drove that road. It's not bad. But here we are, we're associated with sand over there instead of rock. But if we can keep the white down and make this safe for now until the next commission comes on board, the new.
Because it's just like the Antonina Road, there's been areas that has needed to be repaired and redone. Any road's going to have those areas. You're not going to lay down this road out there and it's just going to be perfect for the next 20 years. It's, every road's going to have maintenance, but I feel like it's good enough to let's not go backwards. So.
Okay, thank you. So you're in favor of patchwork? Okay,
Just to make it safe for now.
please come on up.
I guess if these people are all in agreement with it, that we can mill it in but
No surface treatment, just mill rock in. No oil treatment, because we won't be able to.
you're not gonna find it anyway at this time of the year.
If you could state your name and county.
Sure. Ava North, Rush County. Good morning. I received something this morning. It's from the Kansas Department of Transportation. It's more just maybe something out there that would help us in the future. It was, KDOT provided an update on the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, enacted as the bipartisan infrastructure law in March. KDOT estimates the following additional funds will be received directly through formulas for the next 5 years. Highway funding, $89 million annually. Bridge funding, $45 million annually. Electric vehicle charging infrastructure, $8 million annually. And rural transit, $3.7 million annually. Going down to rural transit. The ability for Kansans to access opportunities to succeed and thrive without driving a vehicle is a very real need in urban and rural areas. Here's what we learned. While a majority of 30% believe in sensitizing regional coordination of existing transit providers would be most helpful, supporting existing transit providers 27% and adding new services where 23% were also viewed as helpful. KDOT needs to do more to educate and inform Kansas on the ability and importance and goals of rural transit. Nearly 70% indicated limited or no familiarity with transit services. I encourage rural communities to explore transit needs and opportunities. And then they said contact Renee Hart to learn more and discuss your ideas in improving transit in Kansas. I had heard, and I don't know how how true it all is. I haven't been able to really look a whole lot up on it, but it was saying that connecting Kansas towns, they have enough money available to not only, I'm sorry, let me skip that. There are billions of dollars of infrastructure money out there to connect rural communities to major highways. This is literally what money is for, to pave at least one dirt road leading to every highway out of rural Kansas towns. And then they sent some information. So I have some stuff, I can share it with you later. I don't want to keep reading everything that I have, but it sounds like there's something out there that could possibly help us keep our roads. And I don't mind sharing that at a later time. So since we sound like we've kind of come to an agreement, but
And I do believe as money becomes available or Brandon is made aware of it through KDOT,
yeah,
he does apply for that too.
yeah, and it sounds like it's coming available for the next year, I think. I'm sure you got that too.
So back in July, myself, the IT director, Mike Liker, and Darren, the county administrator, we went to they called it the Infrastructure Hub down in Wichita. It was a 2-day conference that went over the who, what, where, why, and when of all this new funding and different grant projects that were out there and grant programs. And the funds that were listed there, some of those are formulary, which means it's going into, it's been the increases that we see with our Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Plan and the Off-System Highway Bridge Improvement Program. Some of that's also going to cost share. So we've been awarded bridge repairs for the KLBIP before, the off-system. Cost share, we've gotten 2 here in the back-to-back in 2 recent years. There's also increased funding to the high-risk rail road study, or high-risk rail road grant program, which is based off our local road safety plan. Some of those funds are also KDOT's going to hold on to. They're not going to send that out to the counties and the cities. They have their own infrastructure needs. The rural transit, that one was explained to me by KDOT. It's more trains, bus systems, but mainly the trains, building new stations, trying to connect. They've got the Southwest Chief, I believe it was. Is that the name of it, Darren? That connects all the way down through Arizona that was scheduled to be closed, and part of the transportation funding grants for the rural transit, before it was called that, was used to keep that rail service going. So there is money out there. The other thing with federal grants, KDOT is not prepared to administer these projects. Right now, we have a federal grant, been awarded for the Northwest Business Corridor. KDOT's administering it. They're the ones doing all the pay apps. We wrote our check after the bid was let. And from there, it's been KDOT's show. We're out there, we meet with them, but they're the ones handling all the pay apps, all the reporting to the federal agencies. If we do get a federal grant in the future, we may need to hire another person just to administer the grant or contract out that service, because it is in depth. It's one of the things that was, I wouldn't say warned, but discussed heavily at that infrastructure hub was know what you're signing up for. There is money there, but it's not, it's free money, but it's going to take a lot of work in order to get that free money and be able to obligate it and administer the projects. KDOT grants that we get now are locally administered. They have a whole different reporting requirement than federal grants. So
Yeah.
something we've never done before, and we're not equipped at the moment to do it. Not saying we couldn't, not saying I can't learn, but it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of contingencies with anything federal.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so,
One more quick comment. Did I catch that right? We already have 50,000 per mile allocated? Okay, and it's a $468,000 project, so that's over half of it. I just wanted to make that point. I didn't know if everybody heard that.
Yeah, there's 5 years at 50,000 a mile, so there's, over the next 5 years, 250,000 set aside each year for it.
okay, so we want Brandon to patchwork this, mill in the rock, is that correct?
We've got to get that road safer than what it is.
And of course, once you get that all done, make sure you maintain those patches best you can, and as well as the rest of the road. And I guess we'll see where the chips fall for the next board.
Yeah. All you people out there that are here now, I'd appreciate if you'd come back when we get this done to give us an update. I'll drive it, but some of the other people don't drive it. I went out of my way to do it, which that's my job, but yeah, we would appreciate a revisit from you.
And it would be a good thought to put a couple signs up, road ahead, travel after.
Brandon and I had talked about that. We're gonna have to because, and that we will probably get our sheriff's department out there, so it is drove a little too fast for the conditions.
Yeah, if we're gonna have pavement and rock sections together in a roadway, we will put signs up alerting the people traveling the roadways that it's not continuous pavement throughout the stretch.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is going to be the high-risk rural road grant. Brandon?
Yes, sir. So I'm back again. So this is the grant agreement for the authority to award project that was selected for a high-risk rural road grant. It's going to take no funds from the county. This one is 100% covered. It's pavement marking, signs, and potentially rumble strips over at Piper and Walker and on along Cathedral Road and Old 40. Or sorry, not Piper Avenue and Cathedral Avenue along Old 40, and then Walker Avenue along Old 40 to update the signage, potentially rumble strips and stop bars, especially the one in Walker where there is the trees and the home right there at the corner. It's hard to see around that corner because they're not perpendicular intersections, they're off alignment, they're called. So this would just be safety improvements for those two ones. We've been selected for the grant. They've already bid it out. They've received bids. They've selected the best bid. And this is just us allowing them to award the project that we want them to continue with this project. And it'll be no cost to us.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. We get some money to make those improvements. Any concerns or questions, Commissioner?
Nope, free money's good.
Would you like to make a motion for
I
this?
will. I move to accept and sign the authority to award HRRR grant in the amount of $101,224.00.
I'll second that motion. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brandon.
Where do I go to here? Okay, the next agenda item is the extraterritorial jurisdiction change. Justin?
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Craig, Environmental Services Director. Excuse me. Last week, I came before you to amend the ETJ for the shop, the county shop north of town, and I used the incorrect terminology in the motion. So we approved, if I understand it right, we approved to amend the ETJ, but not the resolution to approve the ETJ. So I'm back before you tonight to correct that issue.
Okay, yeah, we do need to correct that. I will move to approve Resolution 22-14 for the boundary changes in the ETJ.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next agenda item is the Purple Wave auction. Darren?
Good morning, County Commissioners. Darren Myers, County Administrator. Just want to give you an update. Several months ago, the County Commission gave the department heads the authority to sell surplus equipment off the Purple Wave website. Many of the items were those that were part of the Enterprise Fleet Management Program. The original thought when we entered into that agreement was that when we had the new vehicle to replace the old one, Enterprise would take the old one and auction it off themselves and sell it. We've had success with Purple Wave in the past, and the price of used vehicles right now is very high, so we decided to keep those, and the commission allowed us to auction those off on Purple Wave throughout the month of September, I believe, is the month that they were listed. and they closed on on September 27th. With the result of that sale, we had, I don't remember exactly how many vehicles, there's a spreadsheet attached to the agenda, but $113,000 in sales over those vehicles. Some of them were surprising on how much they went. Some of them didn't even run. They had to be towed off, but they still brought in $12,000 in sales. So it was, staff thinks it was a success, and we will deposit those monies back into where the funds will be used for the general fund to pay the fleet management to offset those programs. And at this point, even though some of the vehicles haven't had full year of lease payments, the price for these sales for those did anticipate the amount to offset the amount that we're paying on the fleet management program. So the program is doing as it was projected for 2022. So just thought I'd at least bring that back to the commission to give you an update on that.
Yeah, sounds like we've done pretty well with that auction then, so. Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and yeah, there was, when I read it at home, it was outstanding how much some of that stuff brought. I didn't think, I looked at some of them and I thought, no way that we'd get that kind of funding out of them, but we did, so it's good.
Okay, the next agenda item is the mineral rights document. Darren?
The next agenda item is to discuss the division order for the mineral rights, the property at 1681 250th Avenue. This is the land that the commission purchased in June of 2022 for the future development of the Public Works facility. At that time, when we purchased the land, we knew that we would have to proceed with the change orders to get the mineral rights transferred from the old owners to the split of the new owners. Out of that 150 acres, we will receive mineral rights on 120 of those acres, so 4/5 of that quarter section. This division order comes from the oil company that sends those mineral rights out, and just ask that the commission would approve the change order, or the division order, and sign, and we'll get that sent back in so we can start receiving those mineral rights for the property.
Okay. Sounds good. Commissioner, do you have any problems with us signing those documents?
County gets some oil money.
Okay, we will sign those documents. Okay, then we have the Kansas Firefighter Recruitment and Safety Grant. Darren?
Taking this piece with the fire department, we applied for a grant with the Office of the State Fire Marshal. They were awarded additional funding through the ARPA funds for the state of Kansas to bolster their program to provide grants out to fire departments around the state. We applied for roughly $40,000 worth of equipment to finalize our installation of wildland protective gear for all the firefighters, and then to supplement that with a certified wildland fire boot, so that way they're not wearing their heavier, more expensive structural fire boot. We applied for $40,000. They had over twice the amount of applications, requests, and funding that they actually had. So essentially, we got half of what we requested. This amount, we may have to put in about another $1,000 with fire district funds, but we'll be able to purchase around 20 to 22 more sets of wildland gear, which will get us right at 100. We have 100 firefighters on the county fire department. That should get the rest of them with suitable new wildland fire gear. And then that funding that the state fire marshal's office got this year will be renewed, I believe, for the next 2 years. We'll continue to apply for those grants to see if we can get the new boots purchased as well over the next 2 years.
Hey, sounds good, Darren. To get that kind of money, the firefighters need that equipment, so. Commissioner?
That is, especially like you said the main thing, volunteers, that they go away from their everyday life and go do what needs to get done, and we've got a good group of individuals that are doing that. Appreciate that.
Okay.
We're back to hitting almost that record high again. We just met with 6 new firefighters last week, and we should be pushing right at 100 again. One of these days I'll break that 100 mark, but we're hovering right at it right now at about 97, so that's good news that we're continuing to maintain and increase the volunteer fire force in the county.
Absolutely, Darren. Thank you.
As I see that on this morning, that, is it Paradise and other small areas are fighting for, they can't get any volunteers, so we better feel fortunate that we've got that many.
County Administrator report. Darren.
I have nothing to this morning.
County Commissioner reports. Neil.
Yeah, I did participate, represented Ellis County at the Oktoberfest, just made a short little speech there. And then yesterday, Mr. Darren had asked me to do a little speech out at the fairgrounds for the in-service, which we all three commissioners got commended very good for doing what we're doing. And then last night I did attend the Shenshin meeting, so they will be getting a hold of Brandon for some signage out there. The other thing, again, thanks to the volunteers and thanks to our law enforcement, what everybody does, we've got a good group of employees. I seen yesterday, I didn't know a lot of them, but some of them I did, so got to put a face with the name. So again, I'd like to thank that, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Neil.
Yep.
And I have no report. We do have an executive session, and I'll make a motion, we go into executive session for approximately 10 minutes for attorney-client privilege. Included with the board would be Counselor Bill, Darren, Sheriff Scott, and Mike Liker. Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. I keep you waiting.
How do we do?
Perfect. Right on the money.
Thank you.
Okay. There's no other business. Why, the meeting will adjourn at 9:43.